Hello and welcome to another thought-provoking edition of the Issues and Voice of the People TV. I am your host, Jerry Apia, and today we're tackling some of Nigeria's most pressing challenges. We'll break down these complex issues, explore the impact on our nation, and discuss the path forward. The time for clarity and decisive action is now, and this is a conversation you won't want to miss. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you are always in the know, and let's get into it. We begin the show with Nigeria's debt burden, which has swollen to as much as every Nigerian owing about 624,527 naira, rising by 63% under Tinubu's administration. When President Bola Tinubu took office in June 2023, the country's debt stood at 87.3 trillion naira. However, by September 2024, this figure had ballooned to 142.3 trillion naira, representing a substantial growth in the nation's debt burden. Away from that, where the Nigerian police force has invited the convener of Revolution Now movement, Omoyele Sowore, for questioning over a video he recorded during an altercation with police officers on the Murtala Mohammed International Airport Access Road in Lagos. This is contained in a letter dated January 23, 2025 and signed by CP Ibitoye Rufus Alajide, Commissioner of Police, OPS, on behalf of the Deputy Inspector General Police, Force Intelligence Department, Abuja. And still more, where Bala Mohammed, the Bauchi State Governor, has accused the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory FCT, Wike, of exhibiting double loyalty and engaging in what he described as a dangerous and shameless political precedent. During a media chat, Wike criticized Governor Mohammed's opposition to President Bola Tinubu's tax reform bills. However, the governor's special advisor on media and publicity, Mukhtar Gidado, in a statement issued today, lambasted Wike for what he called incoherence and a lack of substantive political direction. All right, after this short break, we'll dig deeper into this topic and more. Don't go away. Welcome back. Let's dive straight into today's discussion. We started off talking about Nigeria's public debt has surged significantly, with the amount owed by each citizen increasing by 63%, according to a review of the data released by the Debt Management Office. When President Bola Tinubu took office in June 2023, the country's debt stood at 87.3 trillion naira. However, by September 2024, this figure had ballooned to 142.3 trillion naira, representing a substantial growth in the nation's debt burden. According to population data from the World Bank, Nigeria's population as of 2023 stood at 227 million, with the total public debt standing at 87.3 trillion naira as of June 2023. It would mean that debt per capita, that is debt owed by each Nigerian, stood at 383,000 naira as of June 2023. With the current total public debt standing at 142.3 trillion naira, it means that the debt per capita surged to 624,527 naira per Nigerian as of September 2024. This amount is 9 times the country's minimum wage of 70,000 naira. Very interesting. And today I'm delighted to be joined by an esteemed guest here in the studio. We have Mr. Peter Anosike. Mr. Anosike is a philosopher, development economist, and best-selling author. He is also an erudite commentator on economy, finance, politics, and power. Great to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank God this Friday. And of course, taking a look at this very critically, 9 times, Mr. Nosuke, we as Nigerians, debt we did not collect, we did not benefit from, we are owing as much as 623,000 naira, which is 9 times the minimum wage that we don't even collect.
No, Jerry, you shouldn't complain too much because you have road on Nigerian roads built by government. My concern is...
which of the roads? Which of the roads? Is it the bad roads we are still witnessing every day?
My concern is 1-year-old, 2-year-old Nigerians that are owing this 600 and something thousand and have not benefited anything from the Nigerian government. So the issue is this: the world economy is in a mess. But the world economy is in a mess, and in such a situation, there's inflation, there's everything, in order to save cost. Then, in order to save cost, then Javier Mendy of Argentina, when he was elected, the economy of Argentina was in recession. What he did was to cut his cabinet by half in order to save cost. Donald Trump, who was just inaugurated on Monday, before he was inaugurated, he set up a Department of Government Efficiency, which he called, understand me, and the purpose is to streamline government, that's to have a small but efficient government. Small but efficient government. So the main work of government of that Department of Government Efficiency was to cut costs, understand? Streamline government in order to save money. What did Tinubu did in his own? Constitutionally, we are supposed to have 36 ministers, each from the states. But Tinubu is running with 42 ministers. So while other countries are reducing cost, Tinubu is increasing cost. Why the country is not producing? You see it? So that's why we are where we are at this point in time. And I'm not seeing even a way out of it. Because if he has meant to grow the nation's economy, he would have implemented the Orosanya report, which is basically to cut down wastages, to cut down duplications, streamline government and save money so that government will run efficiently. But he said no, that he is not going to reduce the size of the number of his ministers, that all of them are doing well. All of them are doing well. All of them are having budgets. Understand? Okay, imagine this 45 appointments that he made. So instead of trying to reduce costs, Tinubu is increasing costs, and the country is not producing. So that's what you are seeing with this debt burden.
But if you take a look at it, how do you explain a debt that has risen as much as 63% within the space of 1 year? Why the madness in terms of borrowing? Why the affront? Because one, we are saying we are not a producing country. What about the proceeds from oil, for instance? What about the taxes? Because recently I discovered that the VAT, per every call, per every text message, they collect VAT from that, even from the banking sector, from a lot of sectors. That's a lot of money going into the coffers of the government. How do they explain all of that to a layman to understand as a country that generates from oil production alone, what are we using the money for? and we're still collecting loans in humongous sum, and these people are still living large while the Nigerians are battling inflation, high cost of living. Now we just had a recent tariff hike as far as communication is concerned. What is now left? It looks like there's a deliberate plan to make Nigerians impoverished more.
For me, it is not deliberate. It is a kind of not knowing what to do. No government in its right senses will just wake up to suffer its citizens. The reason is because the capacity to lead is not there. Government has no capacity to drive this economy. That is what we are having at this point in time. It is not deliberate. Tinubu is not a producer. When he was the governor of Lagos State, it was taxes that he used. He was not generating his own income. It was taxes everywhere. And the same thing he did in Lagos, he had carried it over to Abuja. And when he left as governor of Lagos State, Lagos State become the most indebted state in the country. Upon all the revenues that was being generated at Apapa, Etios, and so on and so forth. So the problem is the capacity to make use of the resources. He doesn't know about it.
All right, we understand our virtual guest has just joined us, talking about Muyiwa Adeyemi, a political affairs analyst and a public affairs analyst. It's great to have you join us on the issues this evening.
You're welcome. How are you?
All right, we're just talking about Nigeria's debt crisis, and everybody knows that it looks like Nigeria is continues to owe a lot of money, and with the fact that each citizen is now owing about 9 times the minimum wage. I don't know whether you collect the minimum wage or you earn more than the minimum wage. So, as it stands, every Nigerian is owing about 623,000 naira or thereabouts. The debt continues to rise. How do you look at it? Why the humongous need to borrow such amounts? And there's no explanation to show that this actual loan they are collecting is reflecting on the life of the masses.
Well, I think without contradicting what the earlier speaker, I think, has said, let me just quickly say this: there's no government in the world that is not indebted, either to one country or the other, or to international monetary agencies, maybe IMF or IFC or wherever. And even if you look, I think we are talking of the country, let's say the best country in the world today, in terms of economy, in terms of technology. We quickly refer to America. So if you Google now and see the debt profile of America, I think we'll be surprised that, oh, why? How is America? I think when as good as this, I think even when the world is shaking under the feet of America, and to the extent that even when they are pulling out of WHO, I think you can see that it becomes a serious discussion. I think in the whole world. But go and check the debt profile, I think, of America. But you know what? When people talk of debt, what matters in modern economics and corporate governance is what are you doing that debt to do? That's why the government needs to explain. If some of these debts are they are using it to upgrade the facility, to improve on the facility, or to provide facility, infrastructure that is needed to provide a conducive environment for production. Fine. I think nobody should raise eyebrow about that one. But if they are borrowing this money to continue to live, I think, a kind of ostentatious lifestyle that most Nigerians are condemning, which is, of course, is not good. If they are borrowing this money for consumption, let's say to pay salaries, I think to continue, I think, a fake life, then there must be concerns. And that's why I think a National Assembly and all the agencies that matters, not governmental agencies, I talk of NGOs, civil society organizations, should now begin to ask questions. Well, if you are borrowing this money, how much have you borrowed and for what? So I think people tracking government expenditure and government borrowing should be able now to start coming out and tell Nigerians what are they using this money for. So maybe it's in this area the government, the people, the handlers of information by the government, maybe let's say that they are not doing enough to carry Nigerians along on how they are spending this money they are borrowing. If I think when the man was saying that they are doing, I think according to Imai, that this Calabar Lagos road, so to they will consider to be one of the most ambitious and the whatever project in the whole of Africa. If they are spending so much on that, how much are they spending? They should let us Nigerians talk. We are borrowing this money to do what? If it's on Sokoto Badagry Road, which they started anyway, that they are spending this money to, they should let Nigerians know of it. If it's on Abuja Lagos Superhighway, they said they are starting, is what they are spending this money to, they should let Nigerians know how much are they generating and how much are they spending. But we know that this government is making so much money now through various level of taxes. I think there is even the only thing they've not taxed yet now is maybe the fresh air God gives that we breathe. Maybe that's the only thing I think they've not taxed in Nigeria, if you ask many people. So if you are making money from taxes and taxations, and you are still making money from not subsidizing petroleum telecommunication again, you are making money from the telecommunication instead of spending money there. So people now begin to ask, with this so much money, what have you done? What are you doing with it to the extent you are still borrowing money? And again, I think maybe some time ago, I think it was on this forum that we were able to say that I think governor said they are making more money. Today, Delta State governor said that since he came in, the Delta State governor, that since he came in, he has been doing his projects without borrowing. So if states are now doing projects without borrowing, Nasarawa said it, Kaduna it. A lot of last week that we mentioned it, I think the argument was that maybe those people have been talking about they were APC governors. But today, Delta State governor is a PDP. So he said he has not borrowed a dime since he came in. So meaning that and he said he was mentioning some projects that have been able to do without borrowing money. So as the PDP governor. So I said that if states are now streamlining, I think they are cutting their coats according to their clothes, so that they are spending, they are doing projects without borrowing. So it behoves on all of us to begin to ask federal governments, why is federal government still borrowing as much as they are borrowing? So I think those are the questions that all of us begin to ask them. As far as I'm concerned, I think the government should explain better. As far as I'm concerned, the handlers of information should carry Nigerians along. And at the same time, people with responsibility of fact checking, of tracking the expenditure of the government should also come up to give better explanation and carry Nigerians along on what they are doing on what and this and that. But to me, I know that it's not the government has gone, the government of the kind of economy we are running has gone beyond government. I think setting up factory, government. No. I think setting up industry. No. It's been established with the kind of economy we are running that government is not. I think it's not at its best. When it comes to running factories. But what everybody says is that the government must produce a conducive environment for everybody, I think, who wants to produce. If you have constant power supply and that's affordable, because as I'm telling you, some companies cannot run on this band A and make profit. It's killing, it's affecting business. So if there's powers, if there's constant power supply at affordable price, and if there's good road network, if the judiciary is up and doing and doing their work as expected, if you have good road network, especially train, the improve of train that people can move goods from one place to the other. As I was saying to somebody, do you know the number of potato they have in the in Port Harcourt, no, sorry, in Jos Plateau, Bauchi, axis, so cheap, but to bring them to where people can easily buy it, to hire a trailer from Bauchi to Lagos is not less than 1.2, 1.3 million naira. So how much of potato will you carry from Bauchi to Lagos that will make that money back? Do you understand? So, but if there's a infrastructure, I think of railway, train, cargo that will bring all these things from Bauchi to Lagos, less than 200,000 naira. So we are saying that government should improve the facility, government should improve the infrastructure to allow people who want to go into businesses to be able to thrive better. Yes, there must be a way of subsidizing, even pumping money, give affordable loan to people who want to go into production. And the country we are now, sorry to say, I don't know what anybody can grow, what you can plant, what business you can do with a 25-33% interest on loans. So, but what I say is that I have not seen, as the earlier speaker said, I have not seen reason why government should continue to borrow as much that they are borrowing, when, of course, they are making monies. And
All right.
if anything, let them block all the loopholes where
Mr.
people are siphoning money.
Mr. DME, you've been very extensive, but I think you have a very brilliant idea on how things should run. But somehow, I know that the man who is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria understands what it means about a lot of things you have said. But we'll find out that there's a situation where nobody is taking action that looks like it's going to make any difference. Because when you're complaining about this, something else comes up to make it even worse. Because take a look at the communication situation. It's going up. And you're talking about your minimum wage can no longer afford you to eat well, to transport yourself to work, and to even buy data at the same time. So you find out that you might even be running into debt from your own personal angle if you're trying to meet up to take care of yourself and your family. We understand that our guest also in the studio, in our studios at VOP TV in Port Harcourt, is also live with us, talking about Mr. Pius Duko, a public affairs analyst and social commentator. Is joining us in the middle of the whole show. And of course, this is your second time, and we want to welcome you. You did excellently well as a good striker in your your debut as a good goal scorer. Maybe today you will top it up with more goals. It's great to have you join us once again on the issues.
Thank you very much for having me being here tonight. So it's good to go.
About the debt profile of Nigeria has risen by 63%. And what do you think about the situation, knowing that we have a debt burden upon us? It does not reflect that this money has changed the life of Nigerians. It just makes it more worrisome that by the time this administration would have been leaving, we'll have a profile that will take generations to pay back.
Let's refresh our mind back during the Obasanjo regime, where the Paris Club free debt, Obasanjo canvassed for free debt for Nigeria as of that time, and we have a lot of forgiveness from international communities and the Paris Club. You also note that during the Buhari administration, we have so much money, loan debt coming in for train stations, railway stations, And then a lot of people were even worried the way we are going to China and borrow most of this money. But just like a lot of people have been saying, the issue of accountability become a very huge problem. And then you begin to look whether we are looking at the issue of neo-colonialism, where maybe the international communities or some of them, whether World Bank or International Bank, whatever, they are aiding Nigeria in the way of collecting some of this money. And what they do is that they now direct you on how to use this money. I am personally thinking that way, because if you continue to borrow money from the times of Major Muhammadu Buhari, and most of those money borrowed does not commensurate with the rail line that we have. In fact, where we have a lot of people who think that making rail to Niger Republic was not much visible in the terms of economic advantage to us. And then we are beginning to look at it, that is it proper? And then how much do we make as per servicing those debts? You know, a lot of discussion where they are there. But if you ask me that why should the new loan be taken or granted, it's something that I think that the elite in sense of the senators, the reps, and even the executive are the people putting us in this great dilemma, in the sense that haven't you checked, you need to check, look at it, what have we done with those past money during the 8 years of operation? Have we serviced most of those debts, and what did we even do with it? Very important. Let me also say that in the midst of this debt that we are having, the Abacha loot came in from Switzerland almost twice. And then we heard that the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs began to share that money within the household with some states in the north. And then where the money come from, which is the oil money, everybody knows that Abacha loot was oil money from the Niger Delta. And they say we are well to do here, we don't have any need to get the money to be shared within the household. So I think that the way things are run, the Abacha loot, which come twice, would have been able to service that debt in case we are very serious. Let me also say very quickly now, the Desani money, the one that the US is whether preparing to repatriate or they have repatriated already, is on the table. You know, where the money was Minister for Petroleum. And then we are here crying of we have to take loan. So sometimes I look at this plus or minus and I think, do we actually need this money? And then nobody will talk about bringing this loan to service our Jakarta industry, which can turn out the fortune of Nigerians in the steel industry, whereby steel importation will be things of the past. For Jakarta have been left all these years. Nobody think about this debt that we are incurring within ourselves, that we are servicing the 4 refineries, or building more refineries. No. What they do, bring in the money. In fact, the senators, we said, we will not hesitate to sign loan for this administration. Just like Lawan was saying during the Muhammadu Buhari regime. So I think Nigerians need to cry aloud. What we are doing here, we are doing our little best because it's not in the interest of Nigerians. Just like you did that simple calculation, over 2 million Nigerians, and we are going to owe about 600 naira or thereabout. It is even very minute money when you do that percentage of each person that is going to pay the debt. However, mind you, most of those people who are going to pay the debt, then they are unemployed, they are not working, and then they are walking in the streets like that, aimlessly. So I think it is high time we now look at. But when you want to look at how to solve the problem, is it the senators and House of Reps that will solve the problem? Those who are ready, at each time that the money will be signed, we will begin to think whether they have percentages, that when this money comes in foreign, in the dollars, when they do the exchange and the money arrives in Nigeria, the money is very huge and much. Then, does that commensurate with even the oil that we have? Now you can see Nigerians are even paying more. You and I are paying. Because by the time I move from my house to this studio, even if in the past, for example, the distance, I will pay less. I'm now paying more. And you know, even when you introduce the last week, who make a comment that governors have more money now. If governors of the whole state have, how come that the federal government is poor that the federal government don't have money, or it's just a cajole, or because of we had a situation. That's why I am even thinking, is that a new colonialism, a method of borrowing money from these foreign countries, and then the money have a flight ticket back to the countries, and they are not bothered. The country that we are collecting money, this money from, they are not bothered. There is no check and balance. They have to now talk about transparency and the way the money is being used, in a decent way. No transparency and accountability.
Mr. Pius, I remember one of the ministers under this administration that was later removed made an allegation that those so-called World Bank loan facilitators actually have an agreement with some of the ministries and government officials that they will have a 30% share of whatever loan they will be giving to you. So that is why there will be a continuous trend of you going back, because you know there's going to be party arrangement. And that is why there is always interest to collect loans. At the end of the day, you find out that Nigerians are the one who is going to pay back loans that have already been looted before it was even given.
Fine. What's the way forward? I think it is not time for lamentation. Just as we have been able to pinpoint some of these critical issues that is happening in Nigeria. What is the way forward? I think the way forward is just the continuous sensitization and the campaign we are doing now for Nigerians to come and stop the issue of collecting further loan, and let the government, even the past government, should come and do a table format. What did they borrow in the 8 years of Buhari, and what did you use the money for? Then this 1 year administration, let the President Tinubu begin to look at how much money he has borrowed, and in what area did you invest this money? Just like I have stated here now, you did not invest it in the Ajaokuta industry that is money born for over 30 to 40 years now. You did not invest in the 4 money born chlorine refineries that we have. And then you invest it for what? Then if you want to say road, Calabar, Lagos highway, is that road going to generate funding for us? Is it going to generate money? Can we put even the toll gates on top of those roads and we now get the money back to the people? No. So we are doing the service to the country, and that is why I think that the people who are coming to government, to govern us from the tiers of government, are not actually ready to lift up from the cocoon of poverty and the issue of maladministration issue that we have now. They are now saying, even we know that money are now given to local governments, more money are now given to state government. Where are the money coming from? From fuel subsidy. Government in the past, hitherto, was paying some bit of money for us when we go and buy fuel. Now I buy my fuel, government is not giving me 1 naira. I just filled my generator a few days ago, and I want to own that generator or not. And I do timing, whether it's 2 hours time, 3 hours time. And government is getting money from me. We collect money from me. I don't do. A billionaire who is taking money from contract, been working around the street. Let me also remind you that the gas train service station in Bonny, we are the 7th world producer of gas, for goodness sake. And now that Ukraine and Russia is fighting, we should have more advantage of sending these guys more money. And we are not doing that. We are here handicapped and crying to every white country, oh, they should come and help Nigeria. Is Nigeria handicapped? Leave about oil and gas alone. What about in quantum here? What are we doing with that? Even the animal, the livestock alone, can produce of issues money for us. Where if you look at animals, there are some elements of where they make drugs from most of these cows. Drugs, even belts, even bags, and they export.
All right, I understand your point of view, Mr. Pius, and definitely we can go on and on and on. But what I will always ask whenever conversations like this come into play, in societies where democracy works, the people complain about government policies, and we see action in terms of trying to change it or make life better for the citizenry. But we'll notice that there's a trend among our leaders of late, where the more you complain, the more difficult the situation gets to become. And instead of finding a solution or saying that the only story we've been hearing from the government relate is be patient, bear the hard times. We bared it for 8 years under Buhari's administration, though it was not this bad. And now the trend has continued to bear with more pains. So where do we now turn to, Mr. Nosike?
The only reason is that the three arms of government has condensed into one. Understand me?
Okay, no more three arms.
We just have one arm, which is the executive.
That controls everything.
The executive controls, the other ones are just departments in the executive.
Which is not supposed to be.
But the National Assembly is an arm of the executive. The judiciary is arm of the, that is an arm, that is a department of the executive. So that is the only reason why a budget will be presented and nobody will ask, tell me how you spent the previous budget. That's why that a loan will be asked without asking questions of how the other loans were used, or they will approve it immediately. Understand me? Because now it is only the executive that is working. The other branches are now or departments in the executive. So there's no transparency,
no checks and balances.
There's no accountability, there's no checks and balances. Whatever comes to the National Assembly from the executive is thrown back at them the same way. It's thrown back at them the same way. The only true National Assembly that we've had is 2003, and that's when Naba was the speaker,
was the Speaker of the House of.
And the Saraki, the 80th Assembly. All the other ones are just there. That's at the beck and call of the president.
All right, pretty sad. Of course, even the journalists are being gagged, and some of them are even sold out because even sometimes Mr. Nosike was not too pleased that when the president was asking during the media parley that which of the ministers were actually not working, and some of them refused to even tell him. All of them, none of them was able to tell him that these ministers are not performing. And instead of reducing them or sacking them, you even made more ministers. Does it look like the reality of the president is different from the reality that we Nigerians are passing through? Each time there's always something about communication gap. The president, once he gets to Aso Rock, his reality is not different from the reality that Nigerians have. How come we have this so-called situation, most especially in recent times? It has become a norm where the executive now becoming arrogant, and of course, this one goes to Mr. Muiwa. Mr. Muiwa, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you, please.
Yeah, we're just talking about the situation. Now that Mr. Nosike just spelled out, there's no every other arms of government is now working for the executive. And there's no checks and balances as it rightly supposed to be. The states and the local government do the bidding of the executive. And we're no longer seeing governance where there's accountability. Anybody audits the presidency. Anybody asks questions and answers are being provided. It's now a one-man show. A winner takes it all.
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. We can hear you.
Yeah, I think, I think to a greater extent, I think this National Assembly, I think has not proven to Nigeria that it is actually, I think that they know what's expected of them. And when Mr. Nosike said, I think they've become a department in the presidency, and nobody would doubt, especially the way the Senate President, Akpabio, has been carrying on. So we've never had such a weak assembly since 1999. At least we have many proofs and evidences. Because I think for me, when I speak in the public like this, I should be able to justify any statement, any comment made. Since 1999, we've never had a very weak, compromising. I think National Assembly has been led by Senator Akpabio, to the extent that you begin to wonder if actually, as a lawyer, you understand the principles of separation of power. And the separation of power is essential, very, very essential in making presidential system of government to work, especially in kind of a federalism, or the federation we try to operate in Nigeria. So, but in the situation where he does not understand the principle of separation of power, or as a lawyer, he understood but refuses to be blindfolded by party sentiment, or I think I think yes, belong to the same party, but that does not mean that institutions should not work as expected to make governance accountable, responsible to the people. And this is where we have our representative that's supposed to do certain checks and balances. So the way the National Assembly has been carrying on, well, I think some of us, I think we have been disappointed, no doubt about that. I won't be surprised if at the end of the day they will not increase the budget and the budget proposal presented by the executive, even if they will not increase it, that where Tinubu said was going to spend maybe 50 billion, maybe they won't do for that Christmas and approve 70 and or 80 billion for him. And then to me, what I think I do, buttress what Mr. Anosike said, when you're talking of budget like this, I'm as a person, I'm not the one that's always so fascinated about it. Simply because what always I always interested, do my research on, is budget performance. And that's why it was said initially that what's the exactly we want to have in the budget when questions were not asked about the previous one. In 2024, go and see percentage of money released to some ministries and to some MDAs. So if you budgeted at least let's say 25 billion for a capital project for this Ministry of Education, and up till now you have not released 10% of capital expenditure to that particular ministry. So why the hue and cry about 2025? How much are they going to release? And so, and the way they disburse money does not reflect, I think, the principles or the vision or or the renewed hope, the mantra of the federal government, because we expect them to spend so much on infrastructure. And again now, because you have staffed a lot of Nigerians, you expect them to spend in certain areas that will improve on the welfare of the people, in which you have not seen that one. The idea of sharing money, let's say they just say they are approving, they are releasing 4 billion for to be shared, maybe a conditional cost transfer, or to be giving 770 houses to 770 million to 75,000 houses. I think, are they not just giving those money to party faithfuls and thinking that they are doing anything for Nigerians? Even are they always accountable for such money? We knew what happened to the two ministers that handled such palliative. We know what happened today. They could not account for this money. So I think but instead of doing that, let government provide a very conducive environment without sounding like a broken record.
Okay.
The facilities, the infrastructure that will encourage production, the environment, the monetary policy that will encourage production, the infrastructure that will encourage production, the skill that will encourage production, the power supply that will encourage production, the raw material development that will encourage production, even the low facility that will encourage production should be their priority. not
All right.
dashing out money to people like Alimanjeris. So of course we are not.
Talking about palliatives and of course cash transfers. But okay, because of time, let's just in space of 5 minutes or so, just go around the Bauchi state governor talking about Bala Mohammed has accused the minister of the Federal Capital Territory FCT, Yenson Wike, of exhibiting double loyalty and engaging in what he described as a dangerous precedent and shameless dangerous and shameless political precedent. And let's not forget that during a recent media chat, Wike criticized Governor Mohammed's opposition to President Bola Ahmed's Tinubu's tax reform bills. However, the governor's special advisor on media and publicity, Mukhtar Gidado, in a statement issued today, lambasted Wike for what he called incoherence and a lack of substantive political direction. Of course, Governor Mohammed, who also serves as the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, criticized Wike's erratic behavior. Let me go to his very, very close man. Well, I'll not say a close man, of course, who is in Port Harcourt right now. Talking about Mr. Pius. What do you make of Governor Bala Mohammed's comments on your former governor, talking about Wike, double loyalty, him being a part of PDP, which he still says is a PDP active member, but serving as an FCT minister, and of course, blasting anybody that opposes the presidency, even as much as Bala Mohammed has been critical against these tax reforms.
Yes, let me make it very loud and clear that in the past, these were two bedfellows. I personally have seen them several times in Port Harcourt, several times, two of them, planning, thinking, and whatever. So if they are falling apart, such is life. But I am thinking in the statement of the governor of Bauchi that it's not far from the truth. You know, it's not far from the truth because you can now see where the minister is lording over two political parties, the APC and the PDP, and then two of your legs, and then you have, you know, elements, people you are controlling from there, your loyalists, Tony Okocha there, and then you have one other one who is also loyal to you, and you call meetings, and these two political parties, you know, attend in your villa, in your house. I think this type of democracy is alien to us in Nigeria. I don't know where they studied this one from, because it could be a new trajectory in political science. But I think when we used to talk about political parties, we used to say party is supreme, you know, to any other person. Human being, we are not supreme to political parties. But because we are seeing where money answered all things very scripturally, as now entered into political parties. So if we see you as Father Christmas, who have been doling out money to party when party was in comatose, that you are largely, you know, not encumbered at all, and then you can contribute very fairly, and then you can put your tentacles, even other smaller political parties, your hands are there, and then anti-party activities will not hold you down. So what Bala is talking about is not perfect, is the truth around. I think what I can say in the elementary sense is that Mali shall tell. Who knows why they are tomorrow again? Because just like I told you, few years ago, just 1 or 2 years ago, they were bedfellows. Bala have been coming to Port Harcourt series of times in the company of the governor. Two of them will enter the same vehicle and drive to government house. And when they finish, maybe Bala will come to, you know, a certain
I think that's a very, very interesting source coming from a man in Port Harcourt. You must have definitely, they say in politics, there's no permanent friend, but permanent interest. But in 1 minute, Mr. Nosuke, is this not dangerous for our political future, having such scenarios?
The issue is this. Nyansan Wike is not exhibiting double
Loyalty.
Loyalty.
Okay.
Nyansan Wike is in APC, but with a mission to weaken or destroy PDP. Understand me? So anybody that is thinking that Wike is in PDP is wasting time. Wike is not in PDP. He said that nobody will stop Tinubu in 2027. Understand me? So he is an APC agent in PDP with the mission to destroy PDP and make 2027 easy for Tinubu.
All right. Mr. Anoski hitting the hammer on a very, very hard head. All right, Mr. Muyiwa, we would like to wrap it up. Maybe use 30 seconds so we can go.
Well, I think, as been said, it's unfortunate that PDP will allow Wike to continue to put them in asunder. It's like some people there don't know how to play this kind of politics. As I agree with Zanosike, you can't really count Wike to be a member of PDP any longer. He's being used as a mole and as agent to destroy the party. But unfortunately, those people there in the PDP, especially Atiku, seems not to understand the game again. And then for PDP to have peace, first and foremost, let Atiku himself pronounce to the people that he wants now to be the leader of the party, that he wants to build the party and announce and renounce his presidential ambition for 2027. It may sound awkward, but if Atiku pronounced to the world today that he's not going to contest in 2027, and they will see that to the rebuilding of the party, that'll be one of the major steps of getting PDP back to track. But until that time, Wike will continue to hold them down, and if they continue like this, well, you can your guess as good as mine. What will happen to them in 2027?
All right. I want to thank you very much, Mr. Deyemi Muyiwa, for being a part of the issues this evening. All right. I want to thank you, Mr. Pius, for being a part of the show as well, giving us exclusive all the way from Port Harcourt.
Yes, you're welcome.
Good one. Of course, Mr. Anosike, maybe next week you'll be giving us exclusive from Lagos.
Thank you for having me.
All right. It's a pleasure having your insight on the show. And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Issues on Voice of the People TV. Thank you for joining us. If you found value in today's discussion, hit that like button, share this episode, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We are always looking to hear your perspective. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you never get to miss an episode of The Issues. My name is Jerry Appley. Have a great weekend.